At 1:43 a.m., Marcus Reid stood outside his guest room door and realized something he'd never experienced in 42 years of breathing. He couldn't control this. The light beneath the door flickered. She was awake, and from the muffled sound barely there, carefully hidden, she was crying. The storm hit like a fist. One moment, the sky over the Hamptons estate was bruised purple. The next, it was black, violent, and the kind of weather that made pilots ground private jets without asking permission. Marcus stood at the floor-to-ceiling window in his study, phone pressed to his ear. "I don't care what the radar says, get her to the city." His pilot's voice crackled through the line. "Sir, the FAA just issued." "Then drive her. Roads are flooded. Bridge to the mainland is closed until morning." Marcus's jaw tightened. Behind him, standing near the doorway with her arms crossed and her coat still dripping onto his Italian marble, was the reason this mattered. Elena Moretti, 35, divorced, designer of sustainable furniture that somehow made millionaires feel guilty about their leather sofas. And the single most irritating woman he'd ever been forced to spend time with. "Mr. Reid," she said, voice flat. "I can hear him, it's fine, I'll stay." Marcus turned. She wasn't looking at him. She was looking at the storm like it owed her an apology. "You'll stay," he repeated. "Unless you'd prefer I swim." Her tone wasn't sarcastic, it was exhausted. He ended the call. "Guest wing, second floor. Mrs. Kozlov will get you whatever you need." Elena nodded once, then walked past him without another word. "No thank you." No small talk. Just the faint scent of rain and something floral he couldn't name. The door closed behind her, and Marcus realized he was still holding his breath. This wasn't a date. It wasn't even friendly. Elena had been invited, dragged, really, to Marcus Reid's estate by a mutual investor who thought her eco-luxury furniture line would be a perfect fit for Reid's new hotel chain. She said no 3 times. Then the investor mentioned the contract was worth $8 million. So she came. The meeting lasted 14 minutes. Marcus had looked at her portfolio, nodded twice, and said, "I'll have my team send over terms." That was it. No questions, no interest, no humanity. Just efficiency. She hated efficiency. "Do you even care what the designs represent?" she asked. He looked up from his phone. "Should I?" "They're made from reclaimed materials. Every piece has a story. The wood comes from." "I care about margins, Ms. Morty, not stories." Her smile was sharp. "Then you're building hotels for people who don't exist." His eyes narrowed. For a moment she thought he'd throw her out. Instead he said, "Stay for dinner." It wasn't a request. It was a test. They didn't eat in the dining room. "Too formal," Mrs. Kozlov said. Instead they sat in the glass-enclosed solarium, rain hammering the roof, plates of seared fish and roasted vegetables between them. Elena ate in silence. Marcus watched. "You're angry," he said. "I'm tired. Of me." She set down her fork. "Of men who think money solves everything. It solves most things. Not the things that matter." He leaned back, wine glass in hand. "Enlighten me." Elena met his eyes. "You can't buy trust. You can't buy intimacy. You can't buy the feeling of being seen." "I don't want any of those things." "Then why did you ask me to stay?" The question landed like a slap. Marcus didn't answer. The storm filled the silence. Finally, Elena stood. "Thank you for dinner, Mr. Reid. I'll be out of your way in the morning." She left the table. He didn't stop her. But he also didn't look away until she disappeared up the stairs. Marcus couldn't work. He tried. Emails, contracts, quarterly projections. Nothing stuck. Before we continue, can I ask you a question? Where in the world are you watching from? Comment below because we'd love to know how far these stories travel, and hit that subscribe button. His mind kept circling back to the same image. Elena, soaking wet in his foyer, looking at him like he was a problem she didn't have the energy to solve. He hated that look. Not because it was cruel. Because it was accurate asterisk. At 11:52, he gave up and poured himself a scotch. At 12:03, he walked upstairs. He told himself he was checking the guest wing, making sure she had everything. Professional courtesy. But when he reached her door, he stopped. The light was on. He could see it beneath the door, soft, warm, alive. She was awake. He raised his hand to knock, then stopped. What would he even say? Are you comfortable? Too stiff? Do you need anything? Too obvious? Why do you look at me like I'm empty? Too honest? He lowered his hand, turned, walked away. Marcus woke to the sound of nothing. No storm, no wind. Just silence. And that's when he heard it. Faint, muffled, barely there. Crying. He sat up. The guest room was 3 doors down. He shouldn't go. He had no reason to go. But his feet moved anyway. He stood outside her door, hand hovering over the wood, and listened. She was trying so hard not to make noise. Every breath controlled. Every sob swallowed. It was the kind of crying that came from practice. From years of not being allowed to break. Marcus's chest tightened. He didn't knock. Instead, he sat. Right there. Back against the wall. Legs stretched out. And he stayed. He didn't know why. He didn't even like her. But the idea of her crying alone in his house, in his guest room under his roof, felt wrong. So he stayed. All night. Watching the light beneath her door. When Elena opened the door, Marcus was gone. But there was a blanket folded neatly on the floor. Still warm. She stared at it. Then at the faint indentation on the carpet where someone had been sitting. Her throat tightened. She picked up the blanket. It smelled like cedar and something expensive. Downstairs, Mrs. Kozlov was setting out breakfast. Mr. Reid is in his study, she said without looking up. He asked that you eat before you go. Elena nodded. But she didn't go to the dining room. She went to the study. Marcus didn't hear her come in. He was standing at the window, coffee in hand, staring at nothing. You sat outside my door. He turned. Elena was holding the blanket. Her eyes were red. Her voice was steady. Why? Marcus set down his coffee. You were upset. So I didn't want you to be alone. She laughed sharp, bitter. You don't even know me. I know enough. You know nothing. Her voice cracked. Marcus stepped forward. Then tell me. Elena's hands tightened on the blanket. Why do you care? I don't know. The honesty shocked them both. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Elena spoke. Quietly. I was married for 7 years. He said he loved me. He said I was enough. She paused. Then I found out he'd been lying the whole time. About money, about debts, about other women. Her voice didn't shake. It was worse than that. It was flat. I rebuilt my life from nothing. I don't need your pity. I don't need your $8 million. And I definitely don't need you sitting outside my door like some kind of, she trailed off. Like what? Marcus asked. Elena looked at him. Really looked. Like you care. I do. Why? Marcus didn't have an answer. So he told the truth. Because when I listen to you cry, I realized I've never felt anything like that before. Elena's breath caught. Like what? Like someone else's pain mattered more than my own control. The rest of the morning was strange. Not uncomfortable. Just new. They had coffee. They didn't talk much. But the silence wasn't empty anymore. At 10:00 a.m., Elena's phone buzzed. "Car's here," she said. Marcus nodded. She gathered her things. At the door, she stopped. "Mr. Reid." "Marcus." She blinked. "Marcus." He waited. "Thank you for last night." He nodded once. She left. The door closed. And Marcus stood there, staring at the space she just occupied, feeling something he hadn't felt in 2 decades. Loss. Marcus tried to forget her. He signed contracts, attended meetings, closed deals. But at night, when the world went quiet, he thought about the way she'd looked at him in his study. Like he was human. Like he could be more. On the 8th day, he made a call. Find out everything about Elena Moretti's ex-husband. His assistant hesitated. "Sir, is this?" "Just do it." 2 hours later, the file arrived. Marcus opened it, and his blood went cold. Elena's ex-husband, Daniel Moretti, had lost everything 3 years ago. Business collapsed. Investments tanked. Bankruptcy. And buried in the financial records, Marcus found his own company's name. Reid Capital had purchased Daniel's primary creditor. Then called in the loans. It was standard business. Legal. Efficient. And it had destroyed the man. Which meant Marcus closed the file. He'd ruined her ex-husband. Indirectly. Unknowingly. But still, his stomach turned. Because now he understood. The reason Elena had looked at him with such exhaustion wasn't just about men. It was about power. And he was drowning in it. Elena didn't mean to find the article. She was researching a new supplier, scrolling through business news, when she saw the name. Reid Capital acquires Moretti Holdings debt portfolio, 2021. Her hands froze. She clicked. Reid. Then Reid again. Marcus Reid. The same Marcus Reid who'd sat outside her door. The same man who'd looked at her like she mattered. Had destroyed her ex-husband. Maybe Daniel deserved it. Maybe he didn't. But Marcus had been the blade. And now, Elena closed her laptop, packed her bag, and booked a flight out of the city that night. Marcus tried her number 17 times. Voicemail. Every time. He didn't leave a message after the 3rd attempt. What would he even say? I didn't know. True but irrelevant. It was business. Accurate but cruel. I'm sorry. The words felt too small for what he'd done. On the 18th call, someone picked up. But it was Elena. She doesn't want to talk to you, a woman's voice, sharp, protective. Who is this? Her sister, and if you call again, I'm blocking this number. Wait. You people are all the same. You think money fixes everything. You think you can just. I'm not trying to fix anything, Marcus interrupted. I just need to explain. Explain what? That you destroyed her ex-husband's life. That you're the reason she spent 2 years rebuilding from nothing. That you. I didn't know it was him. Silence. Then that's supposed to make it better. No, Marcus said quietly, it doesn't. More silence. She's not coming back, Mr. Reid. Whatever you think happened between you two, it's over. Leave her alone. The line went dead. Marcus sat in his office, phone still pressed to his ear, and felt something crack inside his chest. Marcus tried to move on. He couldn't. Work became background noise. Meetings blurred together. He signed documents without reading them, something he'd never done in his life. His assistant noticed. "Sir, are you all right?" Marcus looked up from his desk. "Why?" "You just approved a merger you spent 6 months opposing." He glanced at the document. She was right. "Fix it," he said. "Sir, just fix it." She left worried. Marcus stared at his computer screen. At the photo he'd pulled from Elena's company website. Her face, those eyes, that exhausted, guarded expression that said, "I've survived worse than you." He believed her, and he hated that he was part of that survival. At a charity gala 3 weeks later, Marcus ran into the investor who'd introduced him to Elena. "Reid," the man clapped him on the shoulder. "How's the hotel project?" "Fine." "And Elena, her furniture line?" "We're not working together." The investor frowned. "Why not? She's brilliant, and you two seemed." "It didn't work out." "Shame, she's one of the good ones." The man leaned in, lowering his voice. "You know her ex-husband damn near destroyed her, right? Took everything, left her with nothing but debt and a broken lease." Marcus's jaw tightened. "I know. She rebuilt herself from scratch. No help, no handouts, just pure grit." The investor shook his head. "Women like that don't come around often, if I were you." "You're not." The man raised his hands in surrender. All right, just saying." He walked away. Marcus stood alone in a room full of people and felt completely hollow. Marcus told himself he wouldn't go. It was intrusive, inappropriate, borderline stalking. But on a rainy Tuesday evening, he found himself standing outside a small art gallery in Brooklyn. Inside, Elena was hosting a showcase for her furniture line. He could see her through the window, smiling, talking, alive in a way she'd never been around him. He almost left. But then she laughed at something a client said, and the sound stopped him cold. He'd never heard her laugh. Not once. And the realization hurt more than it should have. He pushed open the door. Elena saw him immediately. Her smile died. For a moment she just stared. Then she excused herself from the client and walked straight toward him. "Get out." Her voice was low, controlled. Marcus didn't move. "I need to talk to you." "No." "Elena." "I said no." She stepped closer, eyes blazing. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up at my event in my space and pretend." "I'm not pretending." "Then what are you doing?" "I'm trying to apologize." She laughed bitter sharp. "For what? For ruining my ex? For sitting outside my door and making me think you were different? For all of it." His voice cracked. Elena stopped. People were starting to stare. She grabbed his arm and pulled him toward a back hallway, away from the crowd. The hallway was narrow. White walls, exposed pipes, the faint hum of the building's heating system. Elena released his arm and crossed her own. "You have 2 minutes." Marcus exhaled. "I didn't know about Daniel, about what my company did to him." "That's your excuse." "It's not an excuse, it's the truth." "You think that matters?" Her voice shook. "You think it makes a difference that you did know? Your company destroyed him, you profited from it, and now you—" "I didn't profit," Marcus interrupted. "Reid Capital called in those loans because they were toxic assets. We lost money on the acquisition. It was damage control, not opportunism." Elena blinked. "You lost money." 16 million. She stared at him. "That doesn't make it better," she said finally. "It doesn't change what happened to me." "I know." "Then why are you here?" Marcus stepped closer. "Because I can't stop thinking about you." Elena's breath caught. "Because every night I sit in my study and remember the way you looked at me, like I was capable of being more than what I am. Marcus. And because when I found out what I'd done, even indirectly, I realized something. What? His eyes met hers, that I'd trade every dollar I have to take it back. Silence. Just the hum of the building, and Elena's unsteady breathing. You don't mean that, she whispered. I do. Why? Marcus's voice dropped. Because you made me feel something I didn't think I was capable of anymore. What? Regret. The word hung in the air. Elena looked away. That's not enough. I know. Then what do you want from me? Marcus hesitated. Permission. For what? To try. Elena's eyes filled. Try what? To be the man you saw that night, the one sitting outside your door, the one who cared more about your pain than his own control. A tear slipped down her cheek. She wiped it away quickly. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I deserve it. Then why should I? Because I'll spend the rest of my life proving you didn't make a mistake. Elena's hands trembled. For a long moment she said nothing. Then I need time. Marcus nodded. How much? I don't know. Then I'll wait. What if I never forgive you? His voice was steady. Then I'll still wait. Elena stared at him. And for the first time since the gallery, she looked uncertain. Not angry. Just lost. Go home, Marcus. He didn't argue. He turned. Walked to the door. Then stopped. Elena. She looked up. I'm not giving up on this. She didn't respond. But she didn't tell him to leave either. And that was enough. For now. 2 days later, Elena received a package. Plain brown box. No return address. Inside, a letter and a check. She opened the letter first. Elena asterisk. I've spent the last 48 hours thinking about what you said, about trust, about time, about whether I deserve either. The answer is no. But I'm asking anyway. Enclosed is a check for $8 million, the amount your ex-husband lost when Reid Capital called in his loans. I can't undo what happened. I can't give you back the years you spent rebuilding, but I can remove the financial burden he left you with. This isn't a bribe, it's not a transaction, it's accountability. Use it however you want, pay off debt, invest in your company, burn it, I don't care. I just need you to know that I see what I did. And I'm sorry. Marcus. Elena stared at the letter. Then at the check. $8 million. Made out to her. Signed in his sharp, precise handwriting. Her hands shook. She should rip it up. Throw it away. Tell him to go to hell. But instead she sat on her couch, letter in one hand, check in the other, and cried. Not because of the money. Because of what it meant. He sent you asterisk how much. Elena's sister, Nina, stood in the middle of Elena's apartment, holding the check like it might explode. $8 million, Elena repeated. And you're not cashing it. I don't know. What do you mean you do know? Elena, this could change everything for you, your company, your life. It's not about the money. Nina set down the check. Then what is it about? Elena looked at her. What if he's just trying to buy forgiveness? Is he? I don't know. Nina sat beside her, then asked him. What? Call him, ask him. Tell him what you're thinking. Stop trying to figure this out alone. Elena shook her head. I can't. Why not? Because I'm scared. Of what? Elena's voice broke. Of wanting him to be different, of hopping, of getting hurt again. Nina pulled her into a hug. Then don't decide now, she said softly. Just don't shut the door yet. 3 days later, Elena called. Marcus answered on the first ring. Elena. Her name sounded like relief. I got your letter, she said. And I don't want your money. Silence. Okay. That's it, okay. What do you want me to say? His voice was careful. I told you it's yours. What you do with it is your choice. Elena exhaled. Why did you send it? Because I needed you to know I wasn't hiding behind ignorance. I looked at what my company did. I calculated the damage, and I wanted to make it right. You can't make it right. I know. Then why? Because doing nothing felt worse. Elena closed her eyes. I don't know what to do with you, Marcus. You don't have to do anything. Yes, I do, because you're sitting there waiting and she stopped. I don't know if I can give you what you want. I don't want anything from you. Yes, you do. What? Her voice cracked. You want me to forgive you. You want me to believe you've changed. I want you to be happy. The word stopped her cold. What? That's all I want, Elena. If that means you never speak to me again, fine. If it means you cash the check and use it to build a life far away from me, fine. I just want you to be happy. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Why? Because you deserve it. Elena covered her mouth. I have to go, she whispered. Okay. Marcus. I'm here whenever you're ready. She hung up and sat in the silence of her apartment, crying for the second time that week. But this time it felt different. Not hopeless, just heavy. Marcus stopped calling, stopped texting. He didn't send letters or gifts or anything that might feel like pressure. He just waited. And it was the hardest thing he'd ever done. Work resumed. Life continued. But something in him had fundamentally shifted. He started asking questions in meetings he'd never asked before. Who does this deal hurt? What's the human cost? Is this worth it? His team noticed. So did his board. Reid, you're leaving money on the table, one investor said during a quarterly review. Good. Excuse me. Marcus leaned back. If the only way to make money is to ruin lives, I don't want it. The room went silent. Since when? Someone asked. Marcus didn't answer. But he thought, since I met someone who made me realize what I'd become. Elena's company held another showcase. Bigger this time. Press coverage, influencers, high-profile buyers. She was standing near the back, watching her designs fill the room when she saw him. Marcus, leaning against the wall. Not approaching. Just there. Her heart stuttered. He wasn't supposed to be here. She checked the guest list 3 times to make sure. But there he was. In a dark suit. Hands in his pockets. Watching her like she was the only person in the room. Elena excused herself from a client and walked toward him. You weren't invited. I know. Then why are you here? Marcus's eyes met hers. Because I wanted to see you succeed. Elena's breath caught. That's it. That's it. You're not going to ask me anything. Demand an answer. Push. No. She stared at him. Why not? Because you asked for time, so I'm giving it to you. Elena's throat tightened. It's been 6 weeks. I know. And you just waited. Yes. Why? Marcus stepped closer. Because you're worth waiting for. Elena felt tears sting her eyes. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered. Do what? Trust you, believe you, let myself, she stopped. Let yourself what? Her voice broke. Feel this. Marcus's hand moved just slightly, like he wanted to reach for her but stopped himself. You don't have to decide tonight, he said softly. Then when? Whenever you're ready. Elena looked at him. Really looked. And she saw it. The man who'd sat outside her door. The man who'd sent the check. The man who'd waited 6 weeks without a single demand. I'm scared, she admitted. Of what? Of wanting this, of letting you in, of getting hurt again. Marcus nodded. I know. What if you hurt me? Then I'll spend the rest of my life making it right. That's not a promise you can keep. I'll keep it anyway. Elena's lip trembled. I need more time. Okay. But she hesitated. You can call me if you want. Marcus's eyes softened. Yeah. She nodded. Okay. He turned to leave. Marcus. He looked back. Thank you for coming. A small smile. Anytime. He left. And Elena stood in the middle of her gallery, surrounded by success, and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Marcus called 2 days later. Hi. Elena smiled despite herself. Hi. How work? Busy, good, overwhelming. In a good way. Mostly. A pause. How are you? She asked. Better now. Her cheeks warmed. Marcus. Sorry too much. A little. Noted. They talked for 20 minutes. About nothing. Everything. Work, weather, a documentary she'd watched. It was easy. Comfortable. And when they hung up, Elena realized she was smiling. The calls became regular. Every few days. Then every other day. Then daily. They never talked about the past. Or the future. Just now. And slowly, carefully, something began to build. Not love. Not yet. But trust. 3 months after the gallery, Elena called with a question. Are you free Friday? Marcus's heart skipped. Yes. I'm hosting a small dinner for friends. My sister will be there, a few colleagues. And you want me to come? If you want to. I do. It's casual, no pressure. Okay. A pause. Marcus. Yeah. Don't bring wine. My sister hates expensive wine. It makes her feel weird. He laughed, noted. The dinner was at Elena's apartment. Small, warm, candles on the table. Marcus arrived with flowers, simple, not extravagant, and Elena's sister answered the door. You're Rudd. I am. Nonna studied him. Hurt her and I'll ruin you. Understood. She stepped aside. Elena was in the kitchen, pulling bread from the oven. She looked up when he entered. You came. You invited me. A smile, small, real. Help me set the table. Of course. They moved around each other, careful, aware, but not awkward. And when their hands brushed reaching for the same plate, neither pulled away. The guests left around 11. Elena walked Marcus to the door. Thank you for coming, she said. Thank you for inviting me. A pause. My sister likes you. Really? She said you're less insufferable than she expected. Marcus laughed, high praise. Elena smiled. Then quietly, I like you too. His breath caught. Yeah. She nodded. Enough to see me again. Yes. Dinner just us. Elena hesitated. Then okay. Marcus's chest tightened. Okay. He left. But this time, it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a beginning. They met at a small Italian restaurant. No cameras, no press. Just them. Marcus arrived first. Elena walked in 10 minutes later, and his heart stopped. She was wearing a simple black dress. hair down, no armor, just her. Hi, she said. Hi. They sat, ordered, and talked, really talked, about her childhood, the things they'd lost, the things they wanted. I don't know if I'm good at this, Marcus admitted. At what? Being vulnerable. Elena reached across the table. Her hand covered his. You're doing fine. He looked at their hands, then at her. I don't want to mess this up. Then don't. What if I do? Then we'll figure it out. Marcus's thumb brushed over her knuckles. I've never wanted something this much. What do you want? His eyes met hers. You. Elena's breath shook. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. But I want to try. Yeah. She nodded. Then we'll try. 3 weeks later, Elena invited him back to her apartment. They'd been seeing each other regularly. Dinners, walks, long phone calls. But nothing physical. Not yet. Tonight felt different. They sat on her couch, wine glasses in hand, talking, laughing, and then in the middle of a sentence, Marcus stopped. What? Elena asked. I just realized something. What? I'm happy. Her eyes softened. Good. I don't think I've been happy in years. Elena set down her glass. Marcus. He looked at her. Can I kiss you? Her heart raced. Yes. He leaned in. Slow. Careful. And when their lips met, it wasn't desperate or rushed. It was soft. Intentional. A promise. When they pulled apart, Elena's hand was on his chest. Stay, she whispered. You sure? Yes. Elena woke to sunlight and the sound of someone in her kitchen. She sat up. Marcus was at the stove, making coffee. Shirtless. Hair messy. Completely at ease. You're still here, she said. He looked over. Where else would I be? She smiled. He brought her coffee. Sat beside her on the bed. Sleep okay? He asked. Better than I have in years. Good. They sat in comfortable silence. Then Elena spoke. I forgive you. Marcus went still. What? She turned to face him. For everything, I forgive you. His eyes filled. Elena. You've proven it, not with money, not with words, but with time, with patience, with showing up even when I told you to go. A tear slipped down his cheek. She wiped it away. I trust you, she whispered. Marcus pulled her close. I won't waste that. I know. They were back at the estate. The same guest room. But this time, Elena wasn't alone. They sat on opposite sides of the bed. No touching. Just talking. Do you ever think about that night? She asked. Every day. Why? Marcus looked at her. Because that's the night I realized I'd been living half a life. And now I'm whole. Elena smiled. You're not the richest man in the room anymore. No. Then what am I? She leaned forward, kissed him softly. You're the most in love. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I truly appreciate you for spending your time here. It means a lot more than you know. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I really want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. Your support helps the channel grow and brings more stories like this your way. Thank you for being here. More amazing stories are coming, don't miss them.